Hello, Dimitris.
Hello, Thodoris.
How are you today?
I'm pretty fine now that I'm having you in front of me one more time.
Thank you so much. So, you are watching in the Air Tonight, a weekly broadcast.
With guests from all the rock industry and its subgenres.
Okay, so we are Dimitris.
And Thodoris, and please subscribe here to our channel and follow us on social media.
Tonight, we have another very special guest, a mastermind of concept albums.
Yes, Thodoris, that's true. Maybe one of my favorite musicians ever in the rock industry. Because tonight with us, as we have announced through the last week, is Mr. Arjen Lucassen.
Hopeless, inconsolable. It seems to her that there is only one way out. But then a strange sensation comes over her.
Hi, Dimitri. Hi.
Hi, Arjen. Hi, Arjen. Thank you for being here with us tonight.
Evcharisto. I can use it.
Parakalo, parakalo. Thank you very much. So, let's start immediately with
Sure.
our first question to you, which is a triple bridge to our past shows. And let me explain to you what I mean.
Okay.
Our previous guest was Mr. Steve Hackett himself.
Oh, cool.
Yes,
No,
please.
such
sir.
a nice guy. Such a nice
Yes,
guy.
yes,
Man.
yes.
I
It
met
was an
him,
amazing.
And of course, he played on my album, and we had long talks together. And he's such a normal, friendly guy, and such a talented dude. So all
What
good.
are your memories from this collaboration with Mr. Hackett, which is a legend for the rock
He's
music?
a total legend. And I made this album called Theory of Everything, and I see it as my prog album. Like the Source, I see as my metal album, and that was my prog album. So it was my dream to have members of the four biggest prog bands in the world, which is, of course, yes, Genesis, King Crimson, and Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and I did it.
Yes, you
I
did.
had I
Yes,
had
you
Keith Emerson and Emerson and Rick Wakeman and John Wetton of King Crimson, and of course Steve Hackett, who played an amazing solo. Back then, I didn't meet him, so I just sent it to him, and he recorded it
He
himself
told
with
us.
his engineer. Yeah.
He was in a band with all these co-mates of his, but he didn't make an album from this with Kim Emerson, etc. That's what he has told us.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
know
yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, that's a shame. That would have been cool.
yeah.
Too
So,
late now.
yeah, yeah, of course. So the second guest, the previous from Mr. Hackett himself,
Yeah.
was Daniel Gildenlöw.
Oh,
Yes,
cool.
a
Yeah,
second Ayreon guest.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
what was the best memory from
He,
him,
he's
from
a
the Zero One?
funny guy. I went to Sweden to record him, and we had so much fun. The problem is, I interviewed everyone for the behind the scenes, but I had someone who did those interviews for me. But I went to him to Sweden alone, just me, and so I didn't have anyone to interview Daniel, so I did it myself.
I remember
It
this.
was such a silly interview, I interviewed him as if I was the interviewer, and of course we couldn't say one serious sentence. And I remember his wife was there, and she filmed us, and she was just laughing, like the camera was shocking all the time. And I still remember he was wearing a Darth Vader helmet, and but apart from that, he sang great.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it took us a couple of hours. He just, was in front of the mic in his own studio, and he understood everything. He's such a talent.
Great
Coincidentally, I've just been playing their last album, Pain of Salvation. Yesterday, yeah, I went walking across the sea. Not across the sea, not
across the
Jesus,
lakes.
not Jesus.
Yeah, yeah.
No, past the sea, on the seaside, listening to their new album, and it's yeah, it's his genius, his vocal melodies, and great stuff.
It
Yeah.
needs time. It needs time to grow inside you.
I thought it would, but it didn't. No, I liked it immediately. Yeah,
Cool.
I already saw the single on YouTube,
Yeah, yeah.
and I was like, okay, I'm gonna like this album. Yeah, but yeah, it is challenging. I agree, but there were already a lot of melodies that stuck to me, so stuck
Yeah.
with me. So that's good.
Yeah, and the triple bridge continues with something from the future.
Okay.
We have done a contact with Jeff Scott Soto in
Okay.
one of our previous shows.
Yeah.
What happened with that contact? Will we see something between you two? It will be
Uh,
amazing.
Basically, I should not tell you anything about
Yes, I know that.
because I always do the guest singers, the guessing games, where people have to guess. But I contacted him and I sent him a link to the track, The Day the World Breaks Down, the Ayreon track, which I'm very proud of. And he was like amazed. He was like, "Oh my God, and why didn't you ask me before? What the hell? Did you forget me?" And of course, now with Sons of Apollo, and in the past with Talisman, he's such a great singer and such a nice guy. So it's going to happen.
Don't forget to credit the show.
No, I won't. I won't.
Okay, so let's go, of course, to Transitus. An amazing album. Congratulations for that. I have already
Thank you.
got into it.
Okay.
And got down to it. as we
Okay.
might say.
Well, like with Pain of Salvation, it takes time. My albums are always like a huge.
That's why we love you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I see the source behind you there, so that's good.
It's source. It's all around.
It's all around.
Arjen,
Oh,
Arjen, it's all around.
okay, cool. I have to put my
Here, we have
glasses on.
here.
I have to put my glasses on for that. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's Electric Castle there.
Of
And
course.
Kiss, of course. Kiss is
Yeah.
there. Oh, I see the theory of everything. Yeah, cool.
Okay, that's my guess game. Okay.
Okay.
So, let's go to Transitus. Daniel and Abby. Are there something like Adam and Eve for a new Ayreon universe?
That's beautifully put and good thinking, but no. This is
Also.
this is not the future of Ayreon. This is basically it wasn't even set up to be an Ayreon album. It was basically I wanted to realize my biggest dream ever, which is making a movie. So the first, I think I worked on this for 3 years since 2017. So for 3 years, it's been a movie, not an Ayreon album. And at some point, the whole Corona thing started, and I was like, okay, now it will be impossible to get funding for a movie because a movie costs millions. A low budget film costs between 5 and 10 million. A normal budget is 50 to 100 million, and the big budgets are 200 million. So
Yeah.
and I'm talking about euros. So now with Corona, that's impossible. People are not going to put so much money in it. Plus, it's hard to film. You can't do all the mass scenes because of all the guidelines. So at some point, I was like, okay, it's not going to be a movie now, maybe in the future. And what now? I got this music and I played it to the record company. And they were like, it's very different from the album behind you, the source. But it's still recognizable as Ayreon. It's got all the ingredients.
Of course.
It's got the many singers. It's got the many different styles. So they said, what do you think? Should we release it as Ayreon? And at first I had to get used to it, because Ayreon is more like a rock opera, and I think this is more like a rock musical. So at first I was hesitant, but then I realized I played it to people. I played it to a lot of friends of mine. They all said, yeah, this is Ayreon. So
It's so obvious for the fans that it's an Ayreon album.
I think so. But yet it's very different. But I think it's a good thing, I mean, they call our music progressive music. So it means not repeating ourselves, and constantly doing new things. So in that vein, I think it's okay.
Yeah, for the fans, it's something new, but it has all the ingredients that we get used to it. Michael,
Okay.
it's something amazing. It's a signature for Ayreon now.
True. And Mike is my hero, and Mike sang all the guide vocals for this album. Because usually I do that myself, and I'm a crappy singer.
Yeah.
So
No, you're not.
you said yeah.
No.
And I sang everything. I sing everything an octave lower, and I kind of like hum the melody. And but this time I was like, yeah, I want to raise the bar for the singers, you know. So I had Mike sing all the guide vocals. I sent him my guide vocals, and then he sang his guide vocals. And you know how good he is.
Yeah.
So he really raised the bar for the singers. The singers were like, oh my God, you know, how can I be better than this? So yeah, Mike will always be part of Ayreon, you know, or whatever I do, I will involve Mike.
Great to know that. So, Transitus concept has many references to the purgatory teachings of West Christianity. It is also referred to Jean-Paul Sartre, as you might know, or as you already know.
Okay. Yeah.
And his theatrical play, No Exit. It is the play that the best known quote from this play is that hell is the others.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right,
What happens with that quote in your heroes? Do you agree with that, with Jean-Paul Sartre?
Was that your doggy or my doggy?
It was my neighbor's doggy.
Oh, okay. Because I have my doggy here around somewhere. That's a difficult question. Well, firstly, I have to say it's not a happy story. You know, you hear Tom Baker in the beginning going, "This is not for the tender-hearted," because death plays a large part in this story. And I also did a song on the source called "Everybody Dies." You know, that kind of goes for this album where a lot of people die. And basically, what happens in the story is Daniel is accidentally burned up. And everyone thinks that Cammie did it because they're married and she was the servant and she was a dark person and people were accusing her. So Daniel is going to Transitus, which is purgatory, which is limbo. There are many words for it. I came up with Transitus. Where the angel of death, the lovely Simone, of course, will decide whether you go up or down.
Yeah.
And well, hello there, you know.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah.
So yeah, if you see the video clip, there are a lot of people dressed in black and a lot of people dressed in white, and you can already guess it. You know, people dressed in white, they will go to the good place, and the people dressed in black will go to the bad place. I don't think I'm answering your question at all. Maybe that's because I didn't understand it.
No, not exactly.
I'm not a reader. Of course, I heard of Jean-Paul Sartre, but I'm very ashamed to say that I've never read a book in my life.
There's no shame on that, but
I read comics.
Yeah.
I even make comics.
Yes, we know that. We'll come back to that later.
Yeah.
So, it is known from your past interviews that you are familiar to sci-fi movies and that kind of stuff. Are you also familiar to musicals such as Phantom of the Opera, Jesus Christ Superstar, and all that kind of stuff that we can see inside Transitus?
Right. Well, in a lesser way, because I don't go like to the theater and watch musicals and stuff like that. But Jesus Christ Superstar is the biggest influence ever on me. You know, that's for me. That's the highlight. That's basically the quality that I want to reach. And I will never reach, you know, but that's good because it's a challenge for me.
We'll see.
I have to fight really hard to get to that height, you know, because that was so important for me. I think, I mean, the original album with Ian Gillan as Jesus, and I think I was 10 years old when I heard it for the first time, and it had this beautiful cover, you know, and booklet, and I got all lost in the story, and. For me, that's the total highlight, and then you have albums like War of the Worlds, of course, you know, which I don't know if you can call it, if you can call it a musical. I don't think so.
It is.
Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it is. So yeah, those are my influences. Yeah, I don't think the typical musicals like Phantom of the Opera and Les Miserables and stuff like that. You know, that's it shouldn't, for me, it shouldn't get too musical.
Yeah.
You know?
Too classical.
Although I love the I'm ashamed to say it, but I loved the Sound of Music. I mean, as a kid, I was woo, you know.
Everybody loves that.
I know, and I watched it again, and it's good. You know, it's good. It's got good songs, and
you can learn to sing through those musicals.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of influences. You heard that well. There's a lot of influences on this album for sure. Yeah.
So, Transitus is,
Transitus.
to my ears, something like a Christmas Carol of Charles Dickens.
That's my favorite story
yeah,
ever.
I thought so,
I'm
because
so glad you say it.
time traveling with
Yeah.
ghosts and that
Yeah.
kind of religious stuff,
Yeah.
not inside Christmas, but inside humanity.
Right, right.
It's all the references to a not so childish story, after all.
You are the first one to say this. It's funny, and I've never said it myself either. Now you mention it, I realize, of course, Ghost of Christmas Past, Ghost of Christmas Present, Ghost of Christmas Future, a man being changed completely, and I love that story so much. Again, I never read the book.
Yeah.
I'm ashamed to
But
say
you
I
have
had
seen something from the movies.
I had the comic
sure.
book. It was a
Oh,
comic book, and they were very, very, really good comic books. They were more like graphic novels, and they had all these classical stories like Count of Monte Cristo and Les Miserables and all this stuff. But that was my favorite story, and the movie. I remember a movie with Patrick Stewart.
And Kane, more old from that.
Yeah. Who was the original? What's his name again? He was great. Albert Finney played Scrooge, and of course later on Picard. Patrick Stewart played.
Yeah.
I always loved that story. I even liked the version with names. God damn it.
With Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey.
No. It was called Scrooged, the movie. It had
with Mr. from Ghostbusters, from the Ghostbusters.
From Ghostbusters, yeah. It's true. He has no dick. But, yeah.
I really liked the Muppets version.
Have you watched it? Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. So I love the Muppets. I'm a big.
So it's obvious. It's obvious that Transitus has too many elements from your inspiration of Charles Dickens.
True.
It's amazing.
Because this time I allowed myself to be influenced, and normally I don't do that. If other albums, I try to stay away a little bit from music, because you might steal. But here it was like, let's steal.
No, really, it's not stealing.
Yeah,
it's not stealing enough.
Okay, being inspired.
Okay, that's the good expression for that.
Yeah, but no, I listen to a lot of soundtracks, and I listen to John Carpenter's Halloween, which is like, it's so simple, but so effective, and really it's like, okay, I want to do something like that. And of course there's Tubular Bells of Mike Oldfield, which used for The Exorcist, and Ennio Morricone, it's like amazing music he made for Once Upon a Time in the West, and all these movies. And of course Jerry Goldsmith, in The Omen, because you hear like these huge choirs on my album, which is totally inspired by Jerry Goldsmith. So there's. I was afraid there would be too many influences. I was afraid there would be too many people recognizing where I got it. But it's okay so far.
It's a great thing.
Yeah.
Of course. So let's go to something more general. Do you think that Ayreon, and especially your collaboration with all those women from your country, Flor, Anneke, Sharon, Simone, has created the perfect context for the great evolution of Dutch metal scene that we now know?
I think it would be a little bit arrogant of me to presume.
I've said it.
It would be arrogant to agree with you. I think, these singers are so great that they would have made it, whether I would have worked with them or not, especially Flora. I mean, of course, I think she was 19 or 20 when she appeared on Ayreon, and I saw it immediately. I saw her, I heard her, and I was like, okay, this is going to be a star, with or without me, and
after
same goes for same goes for Sharon with Temptation. And of course Anneke already made a name for herself in The Gathering when I worked with her in 1998, I think. We're just lucky in Holland, I don't know I don't. We just have like amazing singers here with a lot of charisma. Simone too, of course. And I personally think Anneke had a lot to do with it. You know, she was the first, and that was back then with the Gathering. It was still really original that you had a metal band with a female singer. It wasn't really done back then. Now you can't imagine, you know, because there's so many. But I think the Gathering were one of the first who did it. So I think they paved the way for the other, you know, like the whole Seattle thing happening, you know, in the grunge with
Soundgarden, etc.
Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, you know, that all these bands suddenly got a chance, and I think that's
Open
what
the door.
happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. So you've said in an interview of yours that Transitus is the most cinematic and outrageous album you've ever done.
Yeah.
What elements of the album led you to this conclusion?
Because it's so eclectic, you know. The first 10 minutes is like, what the hell is happening here? It's hard to get into, you know. It's a choice I made, but it's a kind of a daring choice, you know, because it's challenging for people. I mean, they first hear like Mike Oldfield kind of things, and then Tangerine Dream kind of synthesizers, and then suddenly it goes into the voice of Tom Baker, you know, our favorite doctor. And then suddenly you get these choirs like the Omen, huge choirs. Then you go to Lies Pink Floyd part, which goes into this hellish, dark Black Sabbath kind of theme. And the first 10 minutes are outrageous. You know?
Daniel's descending to Transitus is an epic intro.
It's an epic intro, and it's actually I did not have narration originally. It only came after 2 years because I played it to people, and they were like, "Oh my God, you know, what's happening here?" And I have the movie because it was set up to be a movie. I have the movie in my head, you know. I know exactly what's happening, but I can imagine if you don't, then it's just a lot of information. So that's at that point I decided narrator would be cool. Because often a narrator can be annoying, you know. But if you look at albums like War of the Worlds with Richard Burton and Journey to the Center of the Earth, you know, with why am I forgetting everything? David Hemmings.
Okay.
A voiceover can be really cool if you do it right, you know, and if you inject a little bit of humor in it, and if people can follow it, you know, I want to make it easy for people, because I think 90% of my audience is not native speakers, you know, are not English. So I want to make it easy for people to get into my story. And Tom Baker did a great job doing that.
So as we're talking about storytellers, which is your favorite Doctor Who after Tom Baker?
I have to say, names. Matt Smith.
Matt Smith.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. We're going back.
Yeah, because he was funny too. I like funny, because the Scottish guy, what's his name now? Who was before Matt Smith? He was great too, you know, but he was more serious and he was more aggressive. And I think Matt Smith. I instantly liked him. I liked his personality. So
nice.
That would be it. And from the old guard, I didn't like many doctors around Tom Baker. Tom Baker really stood out, you know.
Of course.
And of course, when you had Tom Baker, you know, all the ones after that, they just paled in comparison.
Of course.
Although I think Christopher Eccleston, you know, with the floppy,
yeah.
he was great too. It was a shame he only did one season. Yeah.
So let's suppose for a minute that you are Martin Scorsese. Is Tommy your own Leonardo DiCaprio, your own muse?
It looks like it. It looks like it. You know, he's been on The Source behind you. He's been on Theory of Everything there behind you. I think it's the third time. The thing is, when I picked singers for this album, I had the idea that the singers on the album would also be the actors in the movie. I really like that idea. If you think back of Jesus Christ Superstar, there were also a couple of actors who were on the album. like the guy who played Pilate and the guy who played Caiaphas were also in the movie. I like that idea, you know, that's why they're also in the comic book. And I need, so then, you know, I need to pick the singers differently. It's not just the voice, it's also the way they look. Do they have charisma? Can they act? Do they have some experience acting? So with those eyes, I was watching all the singers I like, and Tommy has it all. Daniel has it all.
Yeah.
Tommy Karavik. He's good looking and he has charisma. He's one of the best singers there is. So I think he and Simona were my first choice for this album. Like, you know, these people have to be in my movie. So yeah, he's like
Leonardo.
Or you could also send Johnny Depp for who's Richard? Names. It's terrible today. Who did Nightmare Before Christmas?
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go to some best of lists of yours now. What's your favorite sci-fi movie? That's difficult, I know.
I would say Blade Runner because
The first
it had
one.
Harrison Ford. And of course it had Rutger Hauer, and I had the privilege to work with Rutger, you know, for a couple of weeks, and he was so amazing in that movie, you know. So Blade, I always say 2001, you know, because it was so great.
Yeah.
But I can imagine that if I would see it now, it would have maybe not aged so well, you know. I don't know if it stood the test of time because the effects are like so much better nowadays. But I think that was one of my favorite movies as well. And I could go on and on, man. You have to stop me.
What about TV series, sci-fi TV series? Do you watch any of that?
All of them, and it started with Star Trek. I mean, that's
Yeah.
on top for me. You know, that's what. As a little kid, I just turned on the TV and I saw the guy with the pointy ears, and I saw like the blue women dancing on weird purple planets, and I was like, oh my God, you know. So my love for Star Trek is what started the whole science fiction thing.
Are you familiar with any current TV sci-fi show?
I keep trying, but a lot of it is so based on special effects, you know. And why do I like Doctor Who? Because it's so campy, you know, and it's not about the effects. I mean, the monster was some guy in a suit, and you see his sneakers sticking out, you know, and then you see the microphones, and it was really about the people, and that's what I like so much. So I think one of the last series who had that was Firefly. That was amazing, you know. That was about the people.
25 years before.
yeah, and it looked so good, and that was great. So yeah, I try a lot of them nowadays, but it's getting harder for me to like.
You have to watch Dark. I think that you.
I did, and it was so complicated. I had
that's true.
I have a bad time recognizing faces.
That's the point.
and names and faces with names, and also families. Like, this is the son of the brother of the nephew of. It's like, whoa, good. But then with the Dark, you also had to know them when they were young, you know, and then you had to know them in the back in time. You know, what did they look like then, and who was their father and who was their son. And I made I made like a list, like totally. Writing everything down and all the names, and I was constantly checking the name, and so I gave up after one season. But maybe I should try again, you know, because it is cool. Of course. It is cool.
Yeah. So as we're going near to the end, I have to ask you something from the vault of your music. Sure. Are there any recordings of a known instrumentalist or vocalist that were never been published due to any reason?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, there are. Which is like a bad sign.
Yeah. Can you tell us who? Or give a hint?
It's never nice for the person himself, you know.
It depends on the reason.
Usually when people come to my studio, it always works out, you know. But sometimes people send me stuff, and it's just not what I wanted, you know. For instance, there was like a really famous singer, I think the most famous prog singer ever, who sang for the Theory of Everything, and he sang a lot of parts, and sent it to me, and it was okay, you know, but not good enough. So I was like, cool, you know, this is a good basis. Let's work on it. And but he was like, hey, this. So yeah, that was never used. And people sometimes say, yeah, but you had this big name, and I'm like, yeah, but it's about the quality of the album, and you know, it has to be great. So yeah, unfortunately, that never worked out. So yeah, it does happen.
It could be your next guess game. Who was that guy?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
going to get in trouble then.
So-
as a hint, I can say the band name wasn't No.
Wow! now everybody knows. So,
Maybe.
so the final question, of course. Thank you very much for being here with us tonight. Thank you very much.
My
It was
pleasure.
an
It
honor.
was fun. It is fun. It's fun, man.
Congratulations for your Transitus album. It's
you.
an amazing piece of work.
I'm
Thank you
so
very
glad
much
to
for
hear
that.
that because
course.
I'm insecure as always. So
So, as a big fan of Anneke and
Yeah.
you, will there any Gentle Storm 2 be?
I'd love to, because working with Anneke is amazing. You know, I did the little tour with her, 12 shows, and I never tour. You know, I hate it. So, but
We know.
if Anneke asks me, what do you say? You say I don't. Not gonna say no to that. You know, so I did it, and when I'm so proud of the Gentle Storm album. It's a bit the insecurity in me. It's like, can I make a better album than that? I'm not sure. I would have to convince myself that I can. And I would have to have a certain plan or a certain idea. We were already thinking, you know, as opposed to the romantic story on with ships and stuff like that. And why don't we go into the future and have the same persons, you know, maybe with like a space flight or something. So yeah, it's definitely possible. We're thinking about it, and
Yeah, of course. So, the name that we were searching for was Bill Murray.
Bill Murray,
remembered it.
there you
I
go.
remembered
Good
it. So,
Good one.
thank you very much for tonight. It was an honor. I hope we'll see you in Greece someday soon, with Anneke or not.
I doubt. I'm such a recluse, man. I can't promise anything.
Yeah, we know that. We know that.
But I would love to do another live show when it's possible again. So
Of course. Thank you very much for tonight.
okay, man.
See you soon. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Keep up the good work. Bye.
Hopelessly slipping away.
So, Todori, he was Mr. Arjen Lucassen. An amazing person for me, an amazing musician for me, and that was a very strange broadcast. And you know what? Because I was alone, you were missed, Thodoris.
Tell me, truly, did you miss me?
Of course, and I've already said that. Of course, I've missed your sweet voice. But it was a very interesting broadcast, for sure. We've gone down to Transitus, the new album of Mr. Lucassen, an amazing concept album that is going to be released in the next few days. It was a very interesting chat about the past, the present, and the future of his band or project, or whatever we can call it, Ayreon. What did you think about our chat with Mr. Lucassen?
Dimitris, I think it was indeed a very interesting conversation with a very, very nice guy and an easygoing guy. And for sure, as I have not heard the album yet, I'm very, very curious to hear it.
It is an amazing album, and let me say that it is one of his best works ever.
Oh,
and
really?
all the listeners, yeah, of course, and all the listeners will have the news soon, of
Okay.
course. So tonight, with us was Mr. Arjen Lucassen. This was In the Air Tonight with Thodoris
And Dimitris,
and Mr. Arjen Lucassen tonight.
yes.
So you have to do only one thing. Please subscribe. And if you want to do something more, please comment if you liked this conversation with Mr. Lucassen. Thank you for being here with us tonight.
So until next week, bye bye from us.
Bye-bye from us, and please don't forget to be with us every week. So subscribe and comment. Bye-bye.
Have a great week. Bye bye.